Hello and welcome back to CA 121. I'm your course instructor, Heather Hines. Today we're going to be discussing Chapter 6. This is the video on vocabulary. If you want to see how to complete the grader, that is in a separate video. In Chapter 6, we're going to delve into creating charts, smart art, graphics, and the difference between the various charts. And we're also going to be discussing templates and how to protect our worksheets. So let's dive into an actual worksheet to see how all of these apply. This chapter has a lot of vocabulary, so make sure that you are pausing this video and you're actually reading the vocabulary to make sure that you understand it. I will be touching on some of the vocabulary, but not all of it. So again, to see all the vocabulary, you just go through the PowerPoint and you will see all of the vocab and terminology for the chapter, which is quite extensive compared to the other chapters. All right, so back to the Chapter 6, Excel spreadsheet. Charts. When we are creating a chart, you want to either use the total or the detail value. So when I'm creating this, I could say, hey, I either want to graph this, the years and the total attendance. So I might say, hey, let's create a bar chart. Or I'm going to maybe highlight all this and insert, in this case, actually, we haven't really talked about stacked bar charts, but a stacked bar chart is going to be quite nice because I have so many different categories. So it can kind of stack on each other. All right, so this, all right. So either the detail values or the totals. If you choose to do all of it, it's going to look really wonky. So if I was to insert a stacked bar chart, notice how we have one that's really quite large compared to the other ones. That's because it's the total. And how are all these calculated? How's the total calculated? It's the sum of all this. So it makes it look really weird. Don't do that. Only the totals or the detail values, never ever both. Now bar charts are really good for seeing relative amounts. We can see, hey, year one, it went a little higher, then it went down and up again. We could have also made this into a line chart. A line chart would have also kind of given us the same look because we're looking at time is year one, year two, year three, year four, year five. So both kind of would have worked in this scenario. So I could have said insert a line, insert a line chart. And it would kind of look similar. In this case, I probably would have preferred a bar chart, but both can kind of work in this scenario. So they're very similar, bar charts and line charts, but line charts are really good when you're discussing time. And on a line chart or a bar chart, you can actually insert what is called a trend line. So I could go to this add chart elements and I can add a trend line. That line just tells me, okay, how close is the data to an actual line. So here I could say, hey, add a trend line. And it also allows me to see, okay, is the trend increasing? Is it decreasing? Is it kind of a flat line? What is going on? So right here, this is a linear trend line. And it shows you, okay, it makes outliers really obvious. So for example, if this number right here were 85, it would have made it look very obvious in my trend line. I was saying, oh my gosh, this is a big outlier, but all these other points are pretty close to the normal trend of what we might have expected if we expected a linear trend. Now our chart has certain chart elements that you need to be familiar with. Some of the vocabulary, we've kind of seen these before, but let's kind of quickly discuss some grid lines. Those are these light blue lines that you see. It helps you to see, okay, this line right here is 250, so this number right here, this line is 300, so this number must be close to 300. We have the horizontal and the vertical axis. The horizontal axis is called the category. The vertical is called the value axis. And on your axes, you have major units. That is, what is the difference between these numbers? So in this case, my value axis would be, my value would be 50. My major unit value would be 50. My plot areas, this middle area right here, is the area bounded by your vertical and horizontal axes. So this is my plot area. Walls and floor, that's when we're talking about 3D charts. Okay, so we just discussed charts. We discussed in particularly column charts and line charts. Remember, spark lines are these little charts off to the side, inside the actual cell. And a trend line can be applied either to a bar chart or a line chart. In fact, it can be applied to most of the charts except for a pie chart. Next, let's talk about some of the SmartArt features of Excel. So in this particular grader, we were asked to create a list chart and a funnel chart. So here's the vocabulary for you. A list chart are non-sequential data, things that can go in any order, whereas a process chart is steps or in a process where they are, do have to be in a particular order. Cycles, just as it says, like your life cycle, things that go in a continual process, so on and so forth. So you might want to pause this video and take a look at this vocabulary and make sure you're familiar with each of these. So this is a list chart. Here is a funnel chart. Funnel chart, you have to have your data going from larger numbers to smaller numbers or vice versa. Otherwise it won't work. It will look really weird. So for example, if I had this as 310 and this one as 340, then it wouldn't really look like a funnel anymore. So make sure when you have a funnel chart, you are using data that's going from big to small. Lastly, let's talk about templates and how to protect a worksheet. So here is an example of a template. Notice how no data is actually filled in, but I'm saying make this template to say, hey, whenever you're making an expense report, I want you to fill this in. So it kind of looks like a normal form that you might want to make, and you create it into a template. Now, when you create it in template, there's a few things that you need to know. When you save it as a template, you have to go to template, Excel template, and it'll actually automatically put it in a custom office template folder. So if you want to change the destination folder, you have to go find where you want to put it. But it'll automatically change the destination folder. The other thing is once you make the template and you close it, when you reopen it, it'll actually open up a copy of the template so that you're not actually messing with the template itself on accident. So again, when you are sending the template out to people, when they open it up, it'll automatically make it a copy, and I'll make it in XLSX instead of template form, so that they're not actually editing the template itself. They're just using the template to make a new workbook. Okay, and here, I might want people to be able to edit things in here, but maybe I don't want them to edit employee. I don't want them to accidentally put something random here. So when they go in to type in the protected areas of the workbook, it'll say, hey, no, you can't do that. That's protected. Now, how do you protect a workbook? Well, that would be on your, I believe it's your review tab. You can say, hey, let's unprotect it for a little while. I used a password to protect it. And in order to change or allow editable ranges, I can do that here, but it has to be unprotected when you allow edited ranges. Allow ranges that can be edited, sorry. All right. And once you protect a worksheet, notice how you are no longer able to specify ranges that can be edited until you go back and you unprotect the worksheet. All right, and why do we make templates so it looks the same? Maybe you might have put a formula in one area so that when people input numbers, it'll automatically add it for them in case they don't know how to make their own equations, so on and so forth. So it's for standardization, and also you can protect the worksheet as well. All right, hopefully this was helpful in understanding the premise of Chapter 6 terminology. Please watch my other video for help on the Chapter 6 grader.